Put some respect on my name.
Mm-hmm.
We're back.
Hi, we're back.
Hi, we're back. It's been a minute since we.
Because the listeners don't know, but it's been a little minute.
It's been a second. I had COVID.
Right. Oh my God, you did.
And then we had anniversaries.
Yeah. The end of the year is just packed. Birthdays, anniversaries.
COVID. She was a nasty girl, as you know. 5 days of a fever.
Nasty trick. She is.
5 days of a fever?
Sick and twisted.
What are you talking about?
Sick and twisted and disgusting.
What are you talking about?
Sick.
It was confusing because I'm normally a person who like can tell like, oh, I'm getting sick. Nope. She came on mean.
As Miss Covisha tends to do.
She really, and my brother-in-law was like, oh, I heard this strain's really mild. And I was like, doom.
That's what everyone was saying. Oh, yeah. This
and
is
to
like
be fair,
the
like,
mild new strain.
Well, and it's like, I think depending on obviously who you are and whatever, but like it could have been worse, but it also wasn't great.
Yeah. No, yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
A fever for 5 days is
Gross. Nasty.
Nasty. Sick, gross.
Hi.
Welcome to Script Daddy.
And here at Script Daddy, we read scripts, watch the movies, and discuss the differences between script and screen.
I'm your host, Carly.
And I'm your host, Colin.
It feels so good to be back.
It does. It feels nice to be back in the chairs, back in the studio.
But I thought you were going to say back in the saddle.
Oh, we are back in the saddle, baby.
A little bit about.
Back in the saddle. Back in the saddle.
I am very excited about this movie that we're doing because
I'm intrigued.
I feel I can't tell right now if we have similar feelings or not. And so often we do, but I'm sensing perhaps we might have slightly different feelings.
I'm very intrigued to hear. So let's just jump right in.
We're doing Donnie Darko.
Donnie Darko.
Donnie Darko.
Yeah, Donnie Darko. The cult classic. I was like telling Sev last night, I was like, I feel like this is like the cult classic.
I agree.
So many ways. And he was like, is it? Is it really that popular? I was like, it's like in our generation, very beloved.
I agree. I was getting I can't quite call it a massage because it's not enjoyable. It's like more of like a release point trigger thing. Although he does do cupping in that. I literally ascend during cupping. It looks like you've been attacked
by a Leviathan.
Yes. But literally that is one of my top 10 feelings when
still never tried cupping.
Colin, you have to because you immediately go into a meditation space.
Done.
Immediately. It's
Love.
literally so gorgeous. But anyway, he's 30 and I always call him a baby and he's like, what is a baby to you? And I was like, fair. You're not a baby, but I'm like about to be 35. So I was like, technically 25 feels like a baby to me. But anyway, he's 30. And I said, have you seen Donnie Darko? And he said, no.
Oh, yeah.
But he goes, but I've heard of it because it's a cult classic. So I was like, okay.
It was like the edgy movie to like, I remember in like high school.
Well, he was like, he Googled, he's like, I was 7 when it came out. I was like, yeah, but most people didn't see it when it came out, which is part of the trivia.
I think I first saw it when I was 13 or 14.
Well, that was one of the things in the trivia is that it came out right at like 9/11. And because of the nature of...
It's really,
they said it did I mean, I'll give the stats, but like it did not do well. It did well later.
Especially
with
in
DVD
a
sales.
post-Columbine world, I could see how it was a bit probably...
But I think they were saying like the poster had the plane crash thing with 9/11. So it was just like
my God, right. The plane of it all. The like fucking point of the movie.
Well,
not the point, but like...
But I could see why you wouldn't think that
the
because...
hinge point, like the crux of the movie pretty much.
Yeah, but it says how much is going on in this movie that it could be buried. Like that we just read the script and watched the movie and you didn't immediately know what I was saying because there's that much going on in this movie.
It's true. Yeah, it's true.
So...
Girl... Okay.
Should we get into that?
Yeah, let's get in.
Okay, 2001. Crazy
log
line.
Girl.
Let's see what we got here. After narrowly escaping a bizarre accident, a troubled teenager is plagued by visions of a man in a large rabbit suit who manipulates him to commit a series of crimes. That's not bad.
Not bad.
It certainly does tell you the plot of the film.
Yeah.
In the simplest, most vanilla form. But like this, I'm not as mad at this one as It's
an okay logline. Yeah.
Colin, if you're not watching us and you're listening, his hands are clasped quite tight together.
It's fine.
The director and writer is Richard Kelly. The cinematographer is Stephen Poster. I was like, okay, last name. Poster. It stars none other than Jake Gyllenhaal and Jenna Malone. There's a lot of stars in this film.
An insane amount of stars that have...
Patrick
I can't call them cameos.
Swayze.
Girl, Patrick Swayze. I think the sisters DeVay Chase, the girl from The Ring.
Is that her name? Yeah. I think you're,
I'm pretty sure that was her.
And then Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Maggie Gyllenhaal. You have Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
Drew Barrymore.
That's his first film.
When I saw Seth Rogen pop up, I was like, the fuck? I had forgotten even that Drew Barrymore was in it, but then I saw that her production company produced it.
And she's I have some fun trivia, but like they credit her as to like why they were able to do it because she got the funding.
When I saw Flower Films as a production company, the first thought I had was like, oh shit, I didn't realize Drew had that so early on, that production company, and that she clearly made really fucking cool choices for her production. Well, that's kind of like, it's kind of a swing.
It's iconic.
To choose this.
Absolute. This is script. Not a guaranteed anything. Like, I guess it was when they were doing Charlie's Angels. She read it. So she was at like peak.
Oh my God. Charlie's Angels.
I know. I was like, it'd be kind of fun if we did Charlie's Angels.
Down.
The budget was $4.5 million. It grossed $7.5 million worldwide.
Oh, so it means budget.
But it said Donnie Darko grossed approximately $7.5 million worldwide at the box office after its initial theatrical release, though a significant portion of its earnings and cult status came from later DVD sales and releases, re-releases. Box Office Mojo reports a total of 7,416,000. Okay, so that's what we heard. The film had a limited theatrical run due to unfortunate timing of 9/11 attacks, and its initial domestic earnings were only around $517,000.
Oh, fuck.
Isn't that crazy? How much of a jump that is?
Also, yeah. So yeah, it's an odd film to like market to
at any time, but arguably the worst
time possible.
Yeah,
for a plane crash.
But truly, at any time, I could see it being hard. But specifically then, which also is like, I don't know. Just I don't know. Okay, trivia. I have a lot, so I'm just gonna like dig through this. Okay, this is the one that I told you that I couldn't get through.
I must know. I'm gonna adjust my mic real quick. There.
Well out of his teens, Vince Vaughn reportedly turned down the part of Donnie due to his age. Now, here's the part that that I can barely say out loud. Before I say this, listeners, I want to just say, I'm assuming if you're listening to this, you have watched Donnie Darko. I want you to, in your mind's eye, put the character of Donnie Darko and Jake Gyllenhaal in your mind, okay?
Yeah. I can't imagine Vince Vaughn.
Mark Wahlberg. Was interested in the part, but apparently was only willing to play the part with a lisp. Is that not the most?
What? Was he like, I'm too hot? People won't believe it unless I have a lisp. Like,
imagine Donnie Darko with a lisp.
Imagine Mark Wahlberg acting with a lisp.
The movie would have been an absolute dumpster.
You know what, Mark? Go do Fear. Thank you.
Go take your lisp.
Another cult classic, actually. But
I've never heard of a more insane.
That's wild. Yeah, I'll do it. If I can have a lisp.
Because it's also the least intuitive choice. Because it's like, sometimes actors, you're like, oh, that's an interesting. It's the least intuitive choice for the character.
And why is that the hill he's going to die on for this?
I'm like,
character?
Or just say you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Wait, I was shook.
With a lisp. What?
Shooketh. Jason Schwartzman, they also credit to like why this movie was made because he was the one who had the initial interest in it and really got it around to people. And he was originally considered for Donnie, but he had to drop out due to scheduling conflicts.
I could see him as
Donnie. I could too. Tim Robbins was the first choice for the role of Eddie Darko, and Mara Wilson was considered for the role of Samantha Darko, but she turned it down.
Oh, interesting. I could totally see Tim Robbins in that role.
Totally. It filmed over a period of 28 days, which matches the length of the time depicted in the film.
Oh, damn. God, that's like a turn and burn. That is quick.
Yes.
Fuck.
At the wrap party for the film, Seth Rogen and Jake Gyllenhaal agreed that they had no idea what the movie was about.
Yeah.
Writer and director Richard Kelly came up with the idea for the future blobs while watching football. John Madden used to use a telestrator where he'd diagram a pause video to show where the players were about to go moments before letting the tape roll. Kelly watched this while high and started to think about what would happen hypothetically if someone upstairs was doing that to humans. Fittingly enough, Donnie first notices the future blobs while watching football. I loved that.
That's fun, yeah. And that was in the script. They go more into like they like have the lines on the TV and they describe like the electronic line and all that.
Yeah. But I was like,
That's fun that he put that in there.
Yeah. Totally. Okay. This was Seth Rogen's feature film debut, and his first words were, "I like your boobs."
If that isn't like kismet in the highest,
in the absolute highest.
I love.
Okay, that's like the only other thing is I read it's not worth getting into because it's like long, but essentially like the interviews with Richard Kelly, I didn't see anything where he straight up is like, this is what it means. I don't think he's willing to do that at all. But what I liked about what I read was that it was cool to see how he kind of piecemealed the idea of it together through these little inspiration moments like that. Like it was like he read about like, I want to say it was like a was it like a glacial thing that like fell through a house when he was like a child? Like he saw a report of that and he always thought like and no one died, but he was like, how crazy, like what if someone had been in that room? And it just kind of stuck with him. And then like, as he was starting to make films, like he was considering that. And then like all these different things kind of started, and you'd like the weight that would have on a person to go like, I could have done all that stuff. Yeah. And I just thought it was cool because again, like he does not answer the question in any way about what it means, like what it truly means or any of that. But he just kind of says like, he almost admits that he doesn't know, but that it's always changing a little bit.
That makes sense. Yeah. It being piecemealed together, it has that feeling reading and watching it. Yeah. Because it has multiple meanings. I wouldn't say that there's one defined meaning for the movie.
Agreed.
The overarching thing is obviously fate versus destiny. And I think it's ultimately the film is a big paradox. So but we'll get into it, but there's a bunch of different ways you can see it.
I'm already obsessed with what you just said.
But that's my main takeaway. It's that it's a film about, do we have free will or are things predestined? I mean, that's throughout the movie. They literally talk about it, but
for sure.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to not. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to wait to get into part of my thoughts on it, but I'm really excited to hear your take on it. Okay. What is your Script Daddy score?
Girl, again, always, I went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So I'm landing a little bit higher than my original scores were, but I, just before we started recording, knocked off a couple points just to get to a more realistic place with myself. So the script I gave a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
I know. It feels low. Here's what I'll say before I read my assessments.
Okay.
For years, I first saw this movie when I was like 13, 14.
Okay.
It made me feel really weird and I hated it. But it stuck with me. The imagery stuck with me. And for years I've been like, and I've only ever seen it that one time.
Okay.
For now, because I was like, I don't need to revisit that movie.
Okay.
It's a movie though, especially now after reading it, this is a movie I should love.
True.
This is a movie that I should love. And I don't. I think it's just okay. But here's what
so intrigued.
But my words are going to come off a bit more praising, but just know like I had to stay, I couldn't let that get because I have a preconceived notion with it. I don't love the film. I don't know why I don't love the film, but it makes me feel weird in the wrong ways. And I like films that make me feel weird, but for some reason this one just doesn't do it for me. I don't know why. But there are parts of it that I really do appreciate. Okay, here's what I wrote after reading the script. I said, what an absolute mindfuck of a story. I feel like I could read this 3 more times and have different takeaways each time. I've never read a coming-of-age story quite like it. The layered explorations of fate, morality, and human connection feel potent yet mysterious, begging the reader to think for themselves in order to dig down to its core meaning. Aside from its philosophical meandering, the script also has some good examples of how to properly handle exposition in ways that doesn't feel forced, almost always solving one information gap while simultaneously creating a new one. This urges the reader forward by dangling a carrot full of riddles before them, just waiting to be solved. Richard Kelly had an undeniable vision for this story, which still packs quite an intriguing punch. I can see why this went on to become one of the all-time favorite cult classics for so many people. Taking all that into consideration, however, the story left me wanting a bit more information about the mechanics and purpose of Donnie's abilities, thus providing more clarity for its themes and messages. So
that's fair.
That's where I land with it.
No, that's fair.
I feel like it feels meandering in a way that feels not fully baked.
Yeah.
And I can I actually would hate if the story was completely buttoned up.
Yeah.
But I would like to have a little bit more information to figure it out more, because so many people, if people can't figure out a movie, there's one part of that where it's like, that's the purpose of it. But then there's also a part where it's like, when it's so convoluted and feels just kind of piecemeal, I'm like, it's a little lazy.
I get
Lazy's
that.
a strong word. I will say lazy's a strong word.
Yeah.
That's not the right word. It just feels a little like, here we go. This is good enough. But like, I don't know. That also plays into the layered notion of it, but that's also like lends it to like that cult status. Because I could see all the film girlies and boys being like, oh, this is what it really means. And this is what you really gotta look at.
And I think that's why I was like ping-ponging back and forth, was because what's funny about it is this is a movie I wouldn't typically love. And I liked it more than I thought I would this go round.
Okay. Wow, this is a switcheroo for us.
I know. That's why I'm like,
interesting.
But the script experience was a little meh for me. My score was 8.1, and that felt even a little high.
Okay.
The main reason I went up a little bit higher than I originally was going to was because I felt like for a script that is biting off some like seriously gnarly concepts, he was very clear in his exposition, where like, for instance, the orbs, like we talked about.
Yeah.
Like he wrote it so well that like almost like for the things that were in the script that were then in the film, which was a lot. I will say though, I do think the film made much smarter choices than the script.
Yes.
Yes. But yes. But I was really, that's what made, it's always weird to me, like what impacts my scoring, and so much it will be impacted by what I'm impressed by.
Yeah.
And I felt like while the script is not that long, it's like 100 pages, it felt a little long to me.
Yeah.
In a way that I was like, that's a little strange.
It's dense.
It's dense. It's a lot of dialogue. And the movie really resolved that. But it's like overwritten in a lot of dialogue areas. Whereas the exposition, a lot of times, I was always just really impressed that a movie that, again, is biting off big shit, I was like, oh, I can actually picture what he's saying quite well.
Yes.
And that's what made me go up a little bit, because I was like,
totally fair.
I just feel like there's a lot of people who would try to bite this off, and you would be like, I mean, we've read other scripts where I'm like, where are we? Who are we? Whereas like, I don't know tons about portals and stuff, but I still felt like, at least on the page, I was totally clear on what was going on, like on a face value at least.
Yeah. It kind of reminded me of the Being John Malkovich script.
Oh, I see that.
This felt like the writer had a more handle on the narrative, but for some reason, I feel like Being John Malkovich had more of a handle on what its meanings and themes were. Yeah.
I will add to the chat, Richard Kelly was 25 when they shot this.
Girl,
which makes a lot of
holy
sense.
Shit, though. Like, that's really impressive.
It's so impressive, but I feel like it answers a lot of what you're saying.
Yeah,
is like,
it does. It kind of felt like someone wanted people to think they knew what they were writing about, but really they're just kind of going along with it.
Well, and one of the things he said in that interview that I read was kind of like, there's so much I want to explore that was not explored in like the Darko universe, because apparently he had nothing to do with the follow-up movie. There was like a follow-up
Sarah
film.
Darko or whatever.
Yeah, he had nothing to do with that, which I was like, God, how did that happen? Like, I was like, I would be so protective about that. But, so that's where. So what was your
movie score?
Yeah, movie score.
Movie score is 8.2 out of 10.
Okay. This is so weird that we like
8.2. I like the movie a lot better than the script. They streamlined it a lot. I'll just read what I wrote as usual. I said this film is off kilter in the truest sense of the word. It makes me feel insane in a way that I'm not sure whether or not I enjoy. Just like the script, the true meaning of the movie remains elusive, opening itself up for interpretation by the viewer. The film cuts back on the amount of information we're given, especially in the beginning, and it helps build more mystery and suspense, and even aids in heightening comedic beats, like not letting us hear what Grandma Death whispers to Donnie when they first meet.
Yes!
Heightening intrigue and allowing for a better plan and payoff later on. Or not letting us see Donnie tell Mrs. Farmer to shove the card up her ass, which makes the reveal a lot funnier when we hear it coming from herself in the following scene. The dialogue is more streamlined and natural, even more so than the script. One of my favorite differences from script to screen is how they added in more awkwardness between characters, especially when it comes to Donnie and Gretchen. There's a lingering, longing sort of feeling to their interactions that captures the feeling of being a teen still trying to figure out the ways of the world. Overall, I think this is an intriguing, though slightly daunting film that I now have a deeper appreciation for.
Like, you know what? That's a pretty gorgine fair assessment, my dear.
I don't I don't love it. I'll never love this film. I can appreciate it. And it is ambitious in so many ways, but I think people give it more credit than it's worth.
Well, do you know what's weird is like, so my movie score was 8.7, which is now to be fair, I felt like that was a little high, but for this not being a film that is really my genre, and normally I would be like barf, barf, barf. Not barf, barf. That's dramatic. Not barf. But I mean, just because there are so many like unanswered whatever, and I like that to a degree, but there was just something. I'm going to be honest. I do think the thing that I was most impressed by was the performances.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In the sense that I was like,
performances are great. It's
arguably
really good acting.
Everyone except for, I don't even know his name, and I didn't even look it up. I was like, I'm not even gonna look it up.
Who?
Like the bully. The bully.
Oh, the one with the bad facial hair.
He is not a good actor.
He
or at least
by giving a scowl. That's his.
But I'm like, but it was literally like anytime he was in a scene was the only moments I felt like taken out. And I just felt like that I found myself like really like locking in on the performances. Like the mom, I was like transfixed by her.
Yes, she was the most captivating out of all the characters, even more so than Donnie for me. The mom, and they like really utilize the mom a lot more in the film than they do in the script. A lot,
and I think her performance just like served it up. But truthfully, like even just what I appreciated about the script, but then was really tenfold, I felt in the movie, was that like there were good scenes in the script that I thought were better scenes in the film, and it had everything to do with their performances. Like some of it was dialogue being trimmed, but like that initial dinner scene with the family, it reads fun and it reads like a real family.
It does.
But then the performance, you're like, you feel like you're in the safety of like a real family where you're like, yeah, like they're all interacting the way real people interact. Like it just, and not that like, I feel like I'm acting like the bar is so low, but I just mean that like, again, given the nature of some pretty massive fucking concepts that they're biting off, that's where it was weakest to me, was that I was like, I think they could have not buttoned up, but they could have been a little, like, here's one of the things that I felt the most frustrated by. I felt like in the script, the messaging was a little bit more clear, whereas in the film, it feels like they peeled back even more in a way that made me go like, that part hit less. Where I felt like in the script, it was very clear he made a self-sacrifice. Like it was like he was happy to.
Yes.
Whereas in the movie, they backed off from some of the action that's in the script that makes it very clear he literally sacrifices his life. Like he drives off the cliff when like Gretchen had already died. He didn't have to do that, or maybe he did, whatever. But like we got to see in the script that he chose to get in the vehicle and drive off the cliff.
Yeah,
watch it hit something and then go up into the sky, which to me was like, it was so clear. Like he had made, or at least to me, my interpretation was like he experienced this thing with this girl, and it was enough for him to be like, I know what I have to do now. I have to sacrifice me, and then everything will be fine.
Yeah.
Whereas the film, that action is not there. He drives up, he watches the portal, he gets in the car and he smiles, but then they cut to, and I felt like I actually, because even in the script, that doesn't answer a bunch of things, but it gave you like one more beat of like intention on his part that I felt like the movie robbed you of. And that was the thing that I struggled with the most with it, weirdly. But I just felt like the film, I was so impressed by like the film's adaptation of the script, where it was just like the where they peeled the dialogue back. I was like, abso-fucking-lutely. The movement, like even the choice to like have him be in the car with his dad afterwards instead of the mom, weirdly, because then it allowed these kind of tender moments with the mom.
Yeah,
that I didn't feel tender in the script at all, but in the movie there were moments where I was like, oh, there's a tenderness to this
more heartfelt
film that is not on the script.
Agreed.
Or in the script. And I found myself more appreciative of like Jake Gyllenhaal's performance in it, in the sense that I was like, that is not an easy role to play.
No.
There is so many scenes where and maybe it's just because I've been in enough acting classes where I'm like, there are so many actors that would have made an absolute ass of themselves in some of those scenes, like the hypnosis scenes.
the scene with where he sees Frank in the bathroom and he has the butcher knife and he's like stabbing.
Whereas like I just felt like the choices he made, I was like, whether they were the best choice or not, I was like, I believed his choices in a way where I actually found myself being like, for his age at the time and like him still being where I was like, it was kind of a brave role for him to take on. And I felt like he delivered it pretty fucking well.
He did.
And I liked Donnie so much more in the movie because I did feel like in the script, they definitely make it clear he's a complex guy. Like he's not a dick. Like you see these little micro moments of sweetness in him.
Yeah.
And you can't quite place
like
him, but
with Sharita.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Whereas like in the film, I feel like it's even more cranked up where it's like, no, I really felt like in the film, like this is a good guy who's like really deeply struggling
and he's kind of been put on the outskirts of like society.
Yes, and it's been decided that you have problems.
Yeah.
And he's always reminded you have problems. And then this thing, whatever. But like, I really feel like the performance, the first time I saw it, I don't even remember how I felt about it, to be honest with you. But this time I just felt the reason I think my score was higher with the movie was I was just really like impressed and enjoying the performances of it.
Yeah.
And that I just thought it was better than the script.
It's absolutely better than the script. Yeah. They peel a lot back.
And also the editing too, though.
Yeah.
They made some really smart
things around the sequencing of the information that you get is more effective.
I literally wrote down about Grandma Death too. I was like, that was so effective to not hear.
Loved. Because it makes you question, what did she say to him? Why is he so disturbed by it?
And it allows her to be more of this like elusive, we don't quite know who Roberta Sparrow is.
Yeah.
And I also think the movie handled that so much better. The script, Roberta Sparrow feels like Grandma Death, same thing. Her younger self is Roberta Sparrow. But I felt like in the script, she almost felt cartoonish to me.
Yeah.
Whereas in the movie, it felt like it's still a little, her hair and all this kind of, but because we don't ever hear her speak and it's all just her lore that we're learning in a way more organic way, I felt like in the movie than the script. I enjoyed that more as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like Grandma Death feels like a bit of an afterthought to me.
Yeah,
she's an A to she's a vehicle from A to B.
I feel you.
Yeah, I'm just very conflicted by this.
I'm like I need to hear all of it. But I also think here's what I will say: the part of the reason why I think we are slightly different on this is that you go into movies like this with a higher expectation than I do.
Yeah,
and I just naturally, and again, not because it's better or worse, but just the genres I write, the genres I connect most with are typically not this.
Mark Wahlberg, is that you?
I'm auditioning for the role of Carly. Do you like it?
Carly Casey.
Carly Casey and
my best read
for Script Daddies. No, but I think that's part of it. Is my expectation to enjoy it was like meh. So I ended up being like, oh, I really thought I liked it more than I thought. Whereas I feel like you probably went in with a slightly higher expectation of it.
I thought it was going to vindicate itself for my younger self's judgment of it. And it did in a lot of ways. I don't outright just like dislike the movie. I just think it's overrated.
Fair.
But it still makes me feel weird that I feel that way because this is a movie I feel like I should really enjoy. I do enjoy it in certain ways. I like that it takes a swing at a bunch of different like philosophical ideas. It got me really thinking just about like I was saying, fate versus destiny. And just like, so here's my thought that's been noodling around.
Give it to me.
Since I watched it. I was like, okay. So the paradox for me comes in with, but I kind of solved it. So I don't know if it's as paradoxical when I was thinking about it. Anyway, so I was like, is this like a chicken or the egg situation? So Donnie evades death and because of Frank. And after that, Donnie surviving leads to the death of so many other people, which is the point of the story. And he learns that he has to sacrifice himself. And it's like making the tough decision for the betterment of other people and kind of being this sacrificial lamb for, everyone else's benefit.
Yeah.
And I was like, so if Donnie had been in his room that night and died, presumably his family, his mother and his sister wouldn't have gone to LA. because why would you go beyond Star Search when your son and your brother just died? That's also assumption on my part. But then I was like, but
Fair.
that wouldn't prevent the plane from going down. If the plane was destined to crash, then whatever, like whether his parents or whether, but it would have saved their lives. So that's like the paradox. Like, does it, him sacrificing itself? It saves Gretchen. It saves Frank. Does it also save the mom and the little sister?
That's very interesting. It feels like yes.
I feel like yes, but then also is the plane going down because they're on it, or would that have changed courses of events?
Right. That was my first thought when you said that.
Where the plane doesn't.
Yeah.
Follow, but then it does because that's the loop of it.
Right.
Like the engine goes in the portal and lands on there. So how would we know?
Right.
And then this is a question I wrote down as I was after I was reading it. I said, is this partly a commentary on how we try to protect kids and teens too much? For example, the therapist, the meds, buying Donnie all the new stuff to try and make him happy, trying to placate him, but that we can never protect someone from their own destiny. And by doing so, we could possibly make things worse for others. For example, Donnie's death being avoided in the beginning leads to the death of Frank, Gretchen, and presumably also his mother and his sister, since they wouldn't have gone to LA. So I was thinking like, because everyone's so concerned with Donnie's well-being and hyper-focused on what's wrong with Donnie? How can we help Donnie? And they put all these guardrails on him that he himself is actively dismantling.
Yeah.
And also that he himself can't help but dismantle because he's being taken over by this greater force, this like force majeure that comes in him, makes him sleepwalk, do all these different things. And how like I was getting that's one of the other themes of it is that like you can't ever really save people. We try to. We can do our best to make their lives easier. We can do our best to not have a negative impact on them based on our own actions. But some people, like they say it in the script in the movie, some people just have tragedy in their blood.
Yeah.
Some people are just destined for bad things to happen to them. And is it better to let someone, live out their destiny? Or is it better to try and stop them? But if you're trying to stop them, what's that going to change for everyone else? It's like that old school conundrum of like, there's a train tracks, it's split. There's 10 people here and one person over here. Which side do you let the train go over? Do you save all the 10 people? But that the one person's like your loved one or whatever? Or do you sacrifice your loved one and save the other 10 people? Well,
first off, all gorgeous questions. And I feel like again, I feel like I had a better sense of some of it from the script, and then the movie made me go like, oh, I don't know, because it felt like for instance, for me, I don't know what's really sticking out about what you're saying though is that idea of like you can't not being able to save someone. I think and also that idea of like the interventions with him. Like for instance, in the script, the therapist says, "Stop taking the pills; they're sugar pills."
Yeah,
which is like a pretty enormous thing to reveal towards the end of the script when he says like, "I feel crazy on them." That's not in the film, and that jarred me because I interpreted it a little bit more like, oh, like what would that mean if it was sugar pills? That would mean that like is part of this burden he's feeling self-imposed then because he rails against the medication so much.
Yeah,
and if she's saying they're sugar pills.
Yeah.
But then the fact that was so clearly removed and instead we have a shot of the therapist calling the house and saying, "I'm very concerned. You need to call." Like that made me go like, okay, so we are meant to think he was on meds this whole time.
Yeah.
Like we're not meant to think he's on sugar pills. A viewer would not know what the script did. So that is also interesting. But I had not considered that, what you're saying about that idea of like, but then you also have like the mental health angle too, right? Where it's like, what if Frank really was just like mental illness? Do you know what I mean? Because
and that's one thing that we'll never know. Was all this, did all this actually happen in this mystical event happened, or is all of this in Donnie's mind and we're experiencing his psychosis with him? And
I had that thought like two different times where I was like, because you know what actually felt thrown away to me was Frank, not the bunny, but like literally the character Frank that ends up being the bunny. Because like when on one hand, I appreciated the offhanded reveal of like, oh, Frank's going to go get drinks. In the script, I was like, wait. And then I was like, oh, shit. And I kind of liked it. I was kind of like, oh. Yeah. But like in the movie, I was like.
It feels a bit like an afterthought.
That aspect does. Because there was a part of me that was like, why did you have to kill Frank? Because he killed Gretchen, but he only killed Gretchen because of your own.
Oh, wait. Okay. This plays into the other themes of the movie. So another theme, big through line that they really do hit upon is destruction leading to creation.
Yes, which he literally says at one
point. He burns down the Val Kilmer's house.
Yep.
And that leads to the revelation that he's a pedophile. And this
you mean
Val Kilmer, right?
Patrick
Swayze. Wow. I always confuse those two.
I can see that.
Always. Okay. Yeah. Patrick Swayze, he burns down his house and he's this self-help guru. Everyone loves him so much. But
I am
really
obsessed
under the
with
surface,
that reveal, though. I am
obsessed.
Absolutely
Under the surface,
obsessed with that
he's this pervert.
Yeah.
And he's a danger to society. And Donnie uses destruction to bring about the creation of truth and to set in motion a new path forward for that. What does the flooding of the school reveal something?
I know. I was just thinking that too.
He floods the school, but what does that lead to?
It's certainly not a reveal in the same.
It doesn't work that well for that one. But then the destruction of Frank and him murdering Frank because he, accidentally killed Gretchen. That destruction leads to Donnie realizing that I'm trying to. This thought just came through. Him destroying Frank. I think if he hadn't shot Frank, would he have ultimately decided to be a martyr himself? Because Gretchen's dead, and then he acts on his own emotions, shoots Frank, and then it's like that moment of like, what the fuck? He doesn't shoot the other friend. He says, "Get out of here, go home."
Yeah,
and that moment's kind of what solidifies him to.
But
go
then
forward.
Also, you're like,
so Frank is kind of pushing him, ushering him forward to do that act.
I was just gonna say, is this all really about fucking Frank? In the sense of like Frank's spirit trying to self-preserve?
Yeah, maybe.
But then Frank's ability to create the portal feels like or is that completely separate? I don't know. But that idea of like, because the other thing is when Frank keeps saying it's going to be the end of the world, it's not. Yeah. But then is the
insinuation? It's the end of Donnie's world.
It's the end of Donnie's world, but he doesn't say that. He says the end of the world, whatever. Yeah. It's coming, blah blah blah. That it's like, was that manipulation of words? Was he really meaning your world? And this whole time Donnie was meant to think he was being helped, but really, like you said, Frank was doing what he needed to do to survive.
Maybe.
But what was also interesting to me was that Donnie wouldn't think to go, well, not that it was literally his fault, but like I feel like the way people think when accidents happen is like the only reason they were at Grandma Death's house for any of this to happen was because of Donnie's obsession with all of this, needing to go to the cellar door, needing to go to Grandma Death at that moment.
Well, in the script, it's different.
It is different in the script.
Someone tells him
that
Ricky and the
that,
other
to
guy,
be honest
Ricky
with you,
and Seth are going to break in and steal her stuff.
My conflicting feeling about that was, as you just said, in the script, he's told these boys are robbing her, and you understand his motive for going there because you're like, he's always felt protective of her. It made sense.
Yeah.
I will say, although the extra plot point of that maybe would have been a bit much, that being said, his motive for going felt a little blurry to me in the movie.
Yeah, because he just kind of has this premonition of what's going to happen. He understands what he has to do.
But it's like...
But it's still murky.
It's murky.
That's why they peeled back the exposition in a lot of ways that helped. But then I think it really impacted the ending.
Whereas the bleeding heart part of him, of going, they're going to hurt her, they're going to rob her, we have to go, made more sense to me as to who his character was. And then his ultimate decision to sacrifice himself. But when they took that away and he just has this kind of like that thing of I gotta go. Meanwhile, his girlfriend is like, my mom might be getting murdered right now because my stepdad, that it made me go, it was interesting that Donnie wouldn't go, I'm the reason. I mean, I guess maybe he did, but like, I'm the reason Gretchen died. I brought her here for this to happen. But then it's like, is that part of the reason he killed Kevin, to make it even, to make it like, not even, but like cosmically even I don't know. Like, but I felt the most like, ugh, about the Frank of it all, because like even the final shot of Frank at the end of the film when Donnie does die and you see him drawing this bunny. So he's clearly, what I liked about it is that he's clearly haunted by something. But then you're going
when
like,
we see Frank's character and all of his art. Yeah, I didn't understand. Like, so he made the costume himself, but he seems really like
he's touching his eye.
Seems very conflicted and very like, oh, you know what? I think because in the script, they say that Gretchen, when she's at the very end where she's riding her bike by his house, that Gretchen looks at the house and it's as if she's grappling with a memory that's quickly fading in her mind.
Yep.
So I feel like all these people,
have like
maybe they're like so conflicted because they all experience the time loop. Now they're out of the time loop. That memory is still there in their subconscious, but it's now going away.
Well, I definitely think you're supposed to get that from Frank, is the way he kind of touches his eye. Totally. You're like, there's some part of you that knows.
And the mom is so conflicted at the end when she's sitting there smoking by the tree.
Which was such a choice because you could see as the movie plays out how much she cares about her son, how much both the parents.
Yeah.
And this is so random, but I loved how in love the parents were.
Yeah.
I just feel like when you think about it, so often in movies, it's like we either make parents the absolute fucking idiots or they like hate each other or whatever, that it was like an unspoken detail, but it made the whole thing again feel more real to me.
Yeah.
To see just like two parents who like, they just like loved each other. They just were like two people that like.
They really serviced the parents a lot better in the movie. And one thing that I loved with the mom was that in the beginning where she goes to Donnie in his room and she's like, I forgot exactly what she says, but she's like, how are you doing?
Where do you go at night, that one?
Yeah, where do you go at night? And then she's like, you need to take your medication or whatever. And then he's like, why don't you take the medication? Then you can see how it makes me feel. And then she walks out and he says, bitch.
It like gets me in my gut.
In the script, I bet. In the script,
it's like my nightmare.
We cut to the mom outside and it says she clearly heard that. But then in the movie, we cut to the mom in the hallway. She clearly heard that. Then we get an extra little scene with her in the bedroom with her husband, and she says, our son just called me a bitch. And the dad's like, well, you're bitching. You're not a bitch, but you're bitching. And I loved that little moment.
Yes.
Because it doesn't really have any other bearing on the movie, but to show their connection.
Yep.
And to show that, like, they love their child and what just happened, like, affected her. And I really loved that touch for the mom.
I completely agree. It was tender. It was like a tender little moment. That's what I mean is like, but also their performances, like never in the script was it like they're laying next to each other or they're whatever. Like even when they're watching the youngest daughter during her like talent show, like she's like leaned over her husband a little bit, like in a way where it's like I was like it made me realize how little you actually see things like that captured in a way where they're not making a point. It's just
the older sister's not this bitchy aloof older sibling who's like she really cares about Donnie. She really cares about this like. You know,
and the way they argue is funny. It's how siblings, like a lot of siblings argue.
Donnie, she's like, you don't ruin your chance. You have a lot going for you. See what you have here. Like, appreciate your life. I mean, easy thing to say to someone going through mass psychosis.
Absolutely.
Yeah, interesting. But
it was such a strong choice to have the mom. The mom felt, and now again, me being a newer mother, and knowing like how deeply intrinsically connected you are to your child. And I can only imagine how much more that is felt the older they get. There's a part of me that's like, if anyone has a cosmic awareness of a thing that went on, it would be the mother. That on one hand, you would think she'd be an absolute mess. But on the other hand, like, could also see.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. I could also see her feeling this sense of like,
Something happened. I can't remember, but it's almost as if she does remember. And she's like, she woke up and all of a sudden she remembers the past month, but then all of a sudden they're back to the beginning of it and her son's dead now. And she's like, what the fuck? And when she's looking at, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. She's looking at Gretchen. Gretchen waves at her.
I know.
And she waves back at her. And there's kind of this look in her eye of like, I know her. I know.
She waves at her in a way that is.
It's almost as if like, why are you acting like we don't know each other?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And
I didn't
also,
even think about that. Oh wait, I love that.
It's such a strange choice the way she waves too. It's so friendly for a moment of you finding out that your son died like 15 minutes or an hour prior. And the way she's smoking the cigarette
and
too.
She's the only the rest of the family's crying, sobbing. She's off by the tree smoking a cigarette, like reeling from like what is going wait. I love that.
Yeah.
That makes me like the ending a lot more, actually, because I'm starting to think you're correct. I think the mom is the only one who kind of remembers.
Has some
and
type
you
of
can
something.
see the conflict on Gretchen's face too.
Yeah. Yep.
Interesting. But then obviously the older sister and the younger sister don't, or whatever. But,
I also thought it was interesting when you talk about like love and connection and those things too. The fact that
they're heavy on that too.
Yes.
Heavy on the love and
correct
connection.
me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they make it clear that they like sleep together in the script.
No,
it's
they
more
don't.
like they kiss.
It says that he goes up there and he's like, everything will be okay. And then it says that he and Gretchen lay back on their backs on the bed, listening to the party below them, which I liked that more than them having sex. But it was kind of sweet to see them holding hands afterwards.
Well, but again, for me, thematically, I was more so going like Donnie is always the other. He's never on the other end. And we learn like he's never even been like in the script.
Oh, yeah.
That it's like what I actually liked about that choice, because they also didn't show it, which I thought was appropriate. It would have been weird to show them having sex. It was, but we lead you to that they're connecting. We go, but then I thought it was so iconic, that slow walk down. It's like so that like
they're holding hands
and you could tell that they in one
and
way
they're
or
kind
another,
of looking down like a little bashful.
But it made me feel like, again, even though different in the film than in the script, but it made his sacrifice make more sense to me, because it was like, oh, Donnie feels reciprocal love in a way that he had not experienced yet. His mother loves him, his dad loves him, his sister, but it's still that thing where it's like, but they're my family, they have to, where it's like Gretchen, there's something with those two, cosmic or not, where like it almost made it make more sense to me that they actually did connect, and through her going through something, but they had this natural moment that then it almost made it feel more like it made more sense to me why he was so at peace with what he had to do.
Yeah. Because he loves her.
And not because of sex, but because they connected.
But it's different. Like it shows it shows her willingness to fully open up to him because they're both virgins. There's all these different layers to it. And it definitely solidifies that arc more. Because
they also, as much as like in the, when he's being hypnotized and he's talking about like, I think about fucking girls a lot, all that stuff, like that is the only time you like really see him like indulge like that teen boy sexuality thing. Cause even with his guy friends, when they're shooting the stuff, his Smurfette monologue is him being like, no, you guys, like she's not going fucking around. Yeah. She's like asexual, blah, 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 that like so again, hypnosis, subconscious mind when he's unfiltered, but you never hear him talking about women or girls in like a teenage horny way, that it made it feel even more like the nervousness and how they played and the way they changed the scene with him and Gretchen when they're walking home, whereas originally in the script
it's so much more awkward in the movie. I loved it.
I loved it. In the script, he's playing football.
Yeah.
And then like
and
Seth
then
Rogen
Ricky and Seth come over and they do
like,
cocaine before they do the montage in the school where we meet all the I have notes about it, but like it's such a better intro.
It's so good. It made me, to me, I was like, this is an argument for a well-placed montage.
Yes, girl, because it's a perfect montage because we learn so many things about the characters with nary a line of dialogue. It is so good, especially with the teachers, with Drew Barrymore and Mr. whatever his name is, the physicist.
Yep.
When they're walking in school and you see the other Mrs. Farmer come up to them and show them the self-help guru book. And then like they walk away and they give each other this look.
It's the ultimate foreshadow of everything.
Yeah. Cause she's like the like scared 1980s, satanic panic mother. And then they're like the learned professors who like see above that, emotional bullshit. And it's just like, you see that. And then you see the different teenagers and just like the dynamics of the school. And I like, even with the bullies, like, you see him going over to Seth Rogen at his locker and he does a bump of coke there. And like, it was like Script Babies. Like so if you've never seen this, like it is a great montage. That is not in the script at all. It's completely different.
And
like
it
you're saying,
absolutely services the film in the sense that like you get it. It's like little place cards for everyone. It makes you feel like you have a sense of everyone. And then when those characters are then later introduced, you already have this sense of like, oh, I have an awareness of them in a way that really is helpful. And also like you and I were talking about this the other day, like you have to be mindful of how many characters you intro in one scene.
Yes.
And like, but this montage was like the most genius way of doing it.
It works so well because you don't linger on anything too much.
No, and the music helped too.
Yeah, the score is great. I mean, the score and the soundtrack. great.
Are absolutely fantastic.
Iconic, I dare say.
Truly that
song at the end, that like, I forgot what that song is called.
Mad World.
Yes. God, every teenager's like favorite song.
For a second, they're like, oh yeah, did you also watch Donnie Darko? Yeah, me too. I find it kind of funny. I find it kind of it's him dying on the best. The absolute emo of that. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I ever had.
It's so like a 16-year-old's diary.
It's also like an away message.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh my
if
God.
you're really needing some attention, like sorry.
I'm just going through some things,
I'm
you guys.
just like, I'm not really ready to talk about it, but I just want to let you know,
that
like,
red Miata for my 16th birthday. My parents didn't get it. So
it's just that, like, this is where I'm at.
yeah, sorry.
So
you wouldn't understand.
You ain't got it.
You know, it's another characterization without words that worked so much better to indicate the like attitude of a character is. So in the beginning of the script, we have the same thing of like, we see the parents and the like Donnie wakes up on the ridge, bikes back home. And then when he gets home, like his dad's leaf blowing and stuff. But it just, so you really quickly gather that the dad is the kind of dad who like gets that teens are teens, kids will be kids, kids act up. It's not a big deal.
Yep.
Like Donnie comes home with a black eye and he's like, in the script, he's like, what kid didn't come home with a black eye?
Yeah,
this isn't something to be worried about,
totally,
whatever.
Totally.
But like, I loved this edition because this isn't in the script, but like, so you see them, it's the slow motion shot, Donnie arriving on his bike, the dad's leaf blowing, the sister walks up to him and is going to say like, hey, I'm taking the car, holding the keys up, I'm taking the car. And the dad like clearly hears her, but he turns around and blows her in the face with the leaf blower.
It's perfect.
It's something my father literally would have done. And I was like, that's such a dad thing. It tells you everything about him. I was like, what a gorgeous characterization. Like I really
found those moments.
I love when a filmmaker just like knows people like that. Yep. And just like, and obviously I'm sure the actors had an input into it and everything, but I thought that was delish.
I completely agree. The movie really did find some pockets of that can only come from truly observing humans and going like, oh, this is like what a dad would, like how the dad a lot of times would laugh when they would hear like information, but he would try to cover it up and like whatever.
Yes.
That's
like
also,
when he says like that she shoved it up her ass or whatever. In the script, like, the dad like,
and they're like, doesn't cover it well. But like, so this feels late to get into some page notes, but I don't have many. So I'm just gonna,
I don't have many either. And it's fun kind of talking about one thing. Did you notice how this is another thing I liked because they really, really hit home the Trans Am of it all, the car that Frank drives. In the script, they are mentioning this Trans Am a few times, so you don't forget it. But in the script, in the movie, when Donnie's riding his bike home, you see Frank's car pass by him and go back. So it's like this kind of like loop. It's like a foreshadowing and everything, which is, was fun.
Oh, I like that.
I like it.
Richard, you did a lot right, my guy.
Rich.
I just felt one thing that's hilarious is literally every woman's description in this is beautiful. Every single one.
Also beautiful. Elizabeth Darko,
so
also beautiful.
So literally every female character, it's like, and I was like, you know what? Good for you. You didn't even try. One of these are, I literally only have a couple, but I'm going to read these first few. On page 1, Donnie Darko, it says, Donnie Darko, age 16, is asleep at the edge of the cliff. With his bike collapsed next to him, he is shivering, curled up in the fetal position. So simple, but like really beautiful. Like even just something about the use of his bike collapsed next to him. I had such a visceral.
Collapsed is a good word.
Good
Very
word. I had such a visceral reaction to that. For some reason, like in a way,
it kind of implies that like he rode up there and then just kind of collapsed with his bike in a way.
Yeah, that it set me up tonally in a way that really hit in the film as well. I was like, oh yeah, that's exactly like.
So what I imagined in my head reading that opening though was far surpassed with the movies that slow push shot of him in the middle of the road, and it's just kind of like it's eerie.
Yeah,
and it's just like because when that started, I was like, wait. I think I'm going to love this movie.
You're like, ooh.
And I did like it more than the script. But anyway, that was good.
And then I also loved this. Page 2, Donnie's little sister, Samantha Darko, age 11, sits within spitting distance from the screen. Samantha holds some small hamster in her lap. Spitting distance? Like, that's what I mean is there was a lot of moments of that where I was just like, again, not making a meal of anything, not crazy, but there were just quite a few times where I felt like there was like one word descriptors that were really visceral, where it was like spitting distance. Like you're immediately more engaged with it.
Yeah.
Because now you're thinking about it instead of just like she sits
just
close.
How close
you're kind of like
to the TV you are. Yeah. Yeah.
But also the word spitting gives you a feeling, whereas saying she was sitting close to the TV doesn't give you a feeling.
An intrinsic negative connotation to it.
Yeah, and it's kind of dirty and raw and like
yeah.
But
That's a great note.
Hello. I will say page 5. I laughed out loud when Rose, his mom, goes, "Where exactly do you go at night? Did you toilet paper the Johnson's house?" And Donnie's response, "I stopped rolling houses in the 6th grade. Get out of my room."
Rolling houses.
I was like, I don't think that's actual verbiage that anyone used, but I was like so upset. I was obsessed with it on the page, and I was obsessed with the delivery. Like, I stopped rolling houses. Like, it's so like, shut up, mom. Oh my God, I truly laughed out loud.
Page 3, so when I first wrote this down, when I first read it, it like was more poignant to me for some reason. But the exposition of finding out Donnie is the one that's going to therapy, and like how that set, like like, but then like when I watched it again, when I saw it in the movie and was thinking about it again, it's like it's not as if this is like the best like buried hidden exposition. It's not, but it's just exposition delivered in a natural way that it would come up in a conversation. And he just says, maybe you should be the one in therapy, Elizabeth. Then mom and dad can pay someone $200 an hour to listen to all your thoughts, so we don't have to. And Elizabeth says, maybe you'd like to tell mom and dad why you stopped taking medication. And so I like that because
great pieces, by the way.
Yeah, they're throwing barbs back at each other, but then like in that moment, you automatically realize, oh, Donnie's going to therapy. Something's up with this kid. Then the medication's on it. It's something serious. And so like it sets up to know like, okay, this is what we're going to be exploring here. This is what he's up against.
I love that you said that because I actually had that same thought, especially watching it and going like, I do think exposition in dialogue is one of those things that like you can take 600 classes on it. Yeah. But the thing that you always come back to is that oftentimes in life, we are sharing our exposition with each other. But because we have the bird's eye perspective of I am creating a world where I am replicating human dynamic behavior, dialogue, whatever, it gets really muddy sometimes where you're like, God, this is so on the nose, despite the fact that we have all been in conversations that are so fucking on the nose.
A first date?
Hello?
The most expository thing you'll ever experience.
Oh my God. So, what do you like? I mean, but again, it is that weird craft thing where you're like, we are replicating real life, but we are not real life. And in order to make you feel the things we want you to feel, we have to mimic it in a way that pulls out different things that are different than literally just living it. They're so similar. They're so fucking similar.
Yeah.
But there is a slight difference that I thought this was a great example where you're like, it can be that easy to that quickly share that information. The performance has helped, but that it's siblings, that they're annoyed with each other at the moment. It felt so natural for a teenage boy who's resentful of the situation he's in to bring that up and for her to push it right back. Yeah. Like, you want to fucking come for me? Okay.
And then it forces you to recontextualize everything you just read and saw of like him waking up like, okay, there's a lot more on board here. Like, what is going on? Then the mom says, where do you go at night? So you realize that this is a thing that happens all the time. It just...
And what the film did well
nicely.
Is the script does overindulge dialogue. It does.
Oh, yeah.
And so that is something to note, is that one of my biggest takeaways from script to screen here was like, the film really found the sweet spot of less is more.
Yeah.
Whereas the movie, it was... too often it was over-explained in a way that honestly made it more confusing, or like, okay...
Yeah.
Like, okay. A lot of the scenes with the therapist, too much. Whereas the movie found like the perfect amount.
Some of the stuff with his physics teacher, it's like, okay.
Whereas the movie really, got it. And I really love, this is jumping a little bit, but that's what we've been doing this whole time. This is just one of those movies though, where it's like, you literally have to.
Gonna be bop
but
around.
What did you, beep bop, ba bop. What did you think about, so in the script, Grandma Death, as we kind of previously touched on a little bit, she's like, we get the reveal about the fact that like when he talks to his teacher and then he's like, don't tell anyone I gave you this. He gives him this book. And then Donnie's like, oh, grandma death. Like he realizes right away, grandma death. And then he goes home and his parents kind of fill him in on her lore. They're like, oh, well, you know, she's wealthy. She was a nun and then she blah, 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 blah. And then one day she just completely changed. Whereas in the film, I thought they built it in a way that was better. Like it was
the teacher's telling it. Like she used to teach here.
She used to teach her, which made
it's more natural.
Because then it also made me go like, is it the geography of this place? Is the geography of this place literally, because that was an interesting angle because it made you go like, is Grandma Death stuck in her own thing? Like this idea that she worked at the same school. She wrote this book. She changed on a dime and that she's stuck on a literal loop.
Did she open something that has forever changed
And what is
this
she
place?
always looking for? Did she give, like, you know what I mean? Like she's always looking.
Well, she's like waiting for Donnie's letter. And so she has a peek into the future. She's this like beyond the veil person.
I did not even think
That's why
about
she's always
that.
going to the mailbox. And then Donnie's letter at the end is what he takes to her because he's wanting to talk to her about like, hey, I'm experiencing these arrows.
Bitch, I did not put. Oh,
yeah.
I like that.
So she is like this, like, you know, Frank is this messenger beyond the grave, and then she's like this creature in one leg in both worlds kind of thing. And like when in the end in the movie, when you see the storm clouds and you see the portal brewing and all this stuff, I too had the thought of like, is this something that just happens here? Is this part of it? But then, you know, maybe Grandma Death did play around with some sort of time travel, something, I don't know. You know, who knows?
Well, because it's like so in the movie it's like they insert, and then after he has this conversation where the teacher is the one who fills him in on her.
Yeah, so much better.
He then goes in the hallway and looks at an old photo and like spots her, which I also kind of liked. And then it was really smart, like condensing information because they still have the follow-up scene where he's at dinner and he mentions her, but it's like again, better exposition too. It's way more casual. They're like, oh, well, she was so wealthy and like she lives in that house and like way more of like a easy breezy, believable conversation with the family. Whereas like the expedition dump coming from the teacher made more sense.
Makes way more sense.
That he would say
it's
like
a better context
to
get the information. Yeah.
And the simple detail of her working there felt relevant to me where I just like liked it more. It felt less random.
It makes her more important.
Yes.
Because instead of having to find out that she was a teacher there, because in the script, it's way later that you find out. In that moment, it's boom, bop. This is important. This is going to be impactful for Donnie and his experience here. And Donnie's automatically more intrigued and pushed forward even more because he's like, oh shit. And like, it's almost as if this teacher's been covered up. Like everyone wants like, that's another theme of this is how people who go against the mold are ostracized.
Yes.
Donnie's ostracized. Drew Barrymore, the teacher's ostracized. Grandma Death is ostracized. Okay.
We have to talk about her saying.
I said,
yes.
I said right here, I said, Mrs. Pomeroy is very chaotic. She's kind of awful to the students, especially the way she makes Gretchen choose who to sit by saying, choose the cutest boy. What the fuck is that?
And then when she goes, get up to the girl.
It's so weird.
The girl sitting there when she goes, get up. I'm like,
I was like, this is not ethical. Also, this is weird. Also, why are you automatically sexualizing these kids? It's weird. That's the other thing. There's a heavy through line that's never paid off of like teen sexuality. And like, it's almost was telescoping to me that raging hormones are, no, they do kind of have a parallel with it where they're reading that book, Graham Greene or whatever. And she says like the issues that lay dormant now crystallize with puberty. So I think that's also what we're seeing here is that things go haywire because there's other things in paranormal world, like in paranormal circles, people talk about how teenage girls typically attract more paranormal experiences to them than boys do in general. You see it more often. And the theory is that teenage girls and their hormones have more of an energy output than boys do. But there's this whole thing of like teenagers going through puberty and how that energy, expelling all that energy will create weird dynamics and paranormal experiences. So that's, I think, where that comes in. But in the script, especially, they are Donnie, it feels like in some ways is almost always talking about how horny he is. Like, especially like,
is he? I felt like it
with
was
a therapist, it's all how horny he is.
But,
he wants to
but
fuck
that's his
Alyssa
subconscious though.
True.
He never does in his, that's what I mean is what I was mentioning earlier.
Well, he and his friends talk about fucking and stuff, but he has the Smurfette line, but it's like,
and he just says like, oh, life's not worth living without a dick. But his friends are the one that are like being absolutely like, dear God. Whereas
true.
me, it
what
feels
was the point?
Well, other than just like, I think there's like the teenage boy of it all. But to me, it felt...
To hit it so hard, though, I feel like it needed to have a symbolic meaning to it. And it probably does. I just don't... I can't parse it.
I just felt like they made an effort to make him less that way than everyone else.
Yes, agreed.
But it is indulged when he's under hypnosis, when it's the sensor's gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's true. It is when he's under hypnosis and he's like, well, I want to get to the good stuff. She's like, you want to kiss him? He's like, no, fucking. He's like, well, have you ever kissed a girl? Well, she actually asked him that outside of hypnosis. He says to her, like, it's been so long. I want to get to the good stuff. Like, and she's like, kissing. And he's like, no, like fucking. And she says, well, have you even ever kissed a girl, Donnie? And the scene ends there because it says, we all know the answer. Donnie doesn't answer, but we know the answer.
Wait, you mean with him and Gretchen?
No, with him and the therapist at one point.
Oh, but that's not in the movie.
It's not in the movie.
They
peeled it back for the movie, but I felt in the script.
Got it. Like, oh no, in the script,
I think it is just that like all these things are coming to a head because of his raging teenage hormones. It probably is just that simple. I'm trying to that's the other thing, though. I'm expecting more from the story because it's trying to really indicate that it has something to say here, but it's still so muddled that I'm like, how much do you have to say? But there are definitely things that it does have to say. But
no, I know what you're saying.
It's very mysterious, and that's that works in its own right. I have a note on page 10, a fun formatting alert.
Give it to
fun formatting alert, and this is a fun formatting alert that I can firmly say I truly, Script Babies, have never seen this in another script before. So
you're so good at finding these.
It says I love formatting and structure. It is just it lights me the fuck up. So I said, this is a cool way to introduce character names for the reader, but done through the dialogue. Usually the all caps character intro is done in the action. So in the action, it says, this is page 10. It says, 2 men in suits approach. A police officer directs them to Rose. One of the men removes a badge from his pocket and holds it up for Rose to see. Man. Mrs. Darko, my name is Bob Garland, and this is David Cole. We're with the FAA. If you don't mind, we'd like to speak to you and your husband privately. Donnie says the FAA, and Garland, the man, says Federal Aviation Administration. So the way they introduce these characters is they introduce them as 2 men in suits. 2 men in suits is all caps. And then below that, the line of dialogue is under man. Mrs. Darko, my name is Bob Garland, and this is David Cole. Bob Garland and David Cole in the dialogue are both all caps. And then Donnie says something, the FAA, and then when you go back to the man speaking, it's now Garland. So they introduced their names through the dialogue, which I'd never seen before, but I thought was really fun.
Yeah.
And like just like a nice little stylistic thing that I'm like,
totally.
I'm going to adopt that.
I love that.
I really enjoyed that.
I love.
Then page 11, I said, funny to show that even children are attuned to profiting off their own tragedy in our society. So this is after, the plane engine lands in Donnie's room, whatever, they can't stay at their house, and they send them to stay at a hotel. It's a Holiday Inn. So they're staying at a Holiday Inn, and then we cut between the mom and dad speaking, then we see the 3 kids in their room, and Samantha said, the younger sister says, is there any way that we can make money from this? We can definitely get on television if we sue the airline. And I loved that, how because it's so baked into American society to profit off of tragedy, especially your own, and how litigious we are as a society. I just thought that was really funny. It doesn't make it to the movie, but because she just says much there that she was like, where's the rest of the plane or whatever is all she says in the movie, but I like
they chopped a lot. He says he's gonna fart on her face. It's like
I loved that. That's the other thing about this. There are some real comedic moments in this that they don't shy away from. Like when they say, "Yeah, the school was flooded and there was feces everywhere." What's feces? Baby mice. Aww. I thought that was hilarious because the kids not understanding a word and I just thought that was so funny and again, it doesn't push the story forward at all. It's just a comedic little sideline.
It added to this kind of slightly unknowable tone that was going on, where it was just you're always a little bit off kilter from what you think the tone is.
You don't know ever what to expect, which I do enjoy. Because that's the other thing is like, while I don't like this movie, it makes me feel a lot of conflicted things. And that in and of itself is effective.
Well, because you know what I was thinking about?
It's an effective story.
This doesn't apply fully, but I was thinking because I was doing so much, like, I wonder if it means this, I wonder if it means blah, blah, blah. I then thought about when you quoted me from our first season when you were saying like some things you aren't meant to get answers. You're meant to just like whatever.
Yeah, it's not meant to tell you something. They're just showing.
Now, granted.
I think about that a lot.
Now, granted, this film would lead you to feel like it isn't meant to just like you are meant to be like I don't think that could be fully applied here. But there was a part of me that's like, if I stop needing to know what the message or what the exact meaning of this is, and I just look at the fact that like it's making me think this much and that I enjoyed it this much, like I have to give it that.
I do have to give it its flowers for that.
You know what I mean?
Claps and snaps for Donnie. Claps and snaps.
What
fair.
One thing I loved on page 6 was it was just like a description where, again, I don't know why I was so fixated on these. It says Donnie jerks around to see who's standing behind him. There, standing on the 7th hole, is a 6-foot-tall figure dressed in a grotesque bunny suit. Again, the choice of the word grotesque.
Grotesque. And it is grotesque.
If it just said like someone standing in a bunny suit or creepy or any, but grotesque is the perfect word.
It is.
It is a grotesque bunny suit.
It is, because I was interested to see what the character description for Frank was. And it was less than I anticipated, but
perfect.
Yeah, it was perfect.
And the other thing I got to give this, even though I do sometimes get a little bit resentful of the obsession that so many like screenwriting books and shit say with like, you got to get the story going. But that being said, this movie gets going so quickly.
It does.
You're
on the move.
But it's done so organically that you don't feel like they're trying to get you somewhere quickly. It's just you just get going quick.
Yeah, it's almost like hurrying up to go nowhere in a way.
Kind of.
Because it's so elusive, this movie.
Yeah.
But
and then the ending kind of like hits you. But yeah, but they
Mm-hmm.
really, I mean, like, you know, normally they're like by page 12, page 10, we're already like, what is happening?
Yeah, it is true. On page 12, there's another fun way of weaving in exposition. I said, the writer is really good at weaving exposition into dialogue, giving it to us in a way that fills in information gaps, thus heightening intrigue, like when Rose and Eddie are talking at the Holiday Inn and we learn that the plane engine hit Donnie's room. We don't know where the plane landed at that point. So this is like the reveal that, oh, Donnie escaped death is so much more poignant, and that the reason he escaped death was because he was out talking to this psycho bunny.
Okay, so wait, go ahead.
But this is the dialogue. It's between Eddie and Rose. Eddie says, Frank Fiedler. Rose says, what? He says, Frank Fiedler. You remember him from high school? The mom says, yeah, he was a year ahead of us. Dad says, he died. He died, remember? On the way to prom. He was doomed. Rose lays there silently. Eddie, they could have said the same thing about Donnie, our Donnie, but he dodged it. He dodged his bullet, Rose. Rose rolls over to embrace him. Eddie, that's my boy. That's our boy. Like, I loved that reveal that, oh shit, Donnie's escaped death. And so now that's what it's almost like that Final Destination. It's like Final Destination, the way where it's like death is going to come get you. You can't escape your destiny.
Yeah.
But what were you going to say?
No, what I was going to say is, what did you think about the choice that in the script, as soon as Donnie meets Frank, Frank says, I saved your life. And at the moment, you have no idea what he's talking about until 2 minutes later, we see that this goes through the thing. And again, we don't know it's his room, but nonetheless, we at least have a cause and effect. We have like he says, I saved your life. And you're going, okay, fucking grotesque bunny. And then all of a sudden this crazy ass thing happens, which leads you to go, oh my God, did he? And it also makes you understand why Donnie already has like a weird allegiance to him. Cause he's like, fuck, he did. But in the movie, they take that out. Frank does not say, I saved your life.
Yeah.
And
he just says like, wake up. Like,
and then he's like, and then he's like, and also that voice, girl. I was watching this in bed at night with headphones on and I was like, ew.
Yeah. Oh, headphones, girl. No, that's another thing I loved was I loved that in that moment of meeting Frank that we have Frank's dialogue in voiceover as Donnie is sleepwalking through. It's so much more creepy. And also Frank is way creepier than I remembered him the first time. Like Frank is creepy. And I love how every intro of Frank is a creepy way. Like I have it written down when he's like in the dark corner of the room or whatever. I loved the stylistic choice to have the voiceover though, because it's way more intriguing.
Way more intriguing.
Because then he's there and you see the bunny at the golf course. Like, what the fuck?
No, the voiceover was genius because you could have gone way too like, it was this weird, slightly almost metallic sounding voice.
And it's like layered, two voices layered with each other. One's like almost a whisper, one's regular, but it's all
Let me tell you, in headphones, gross. I literally was like,
that ain't right.
I almost was like, I'm going to take these out.
Also, we got to take a little moment to acknowledge that a phrase that is, or a turn of words that is really having a moment in pop culture right now is in this script. I was like,
wait,
what? It's a word I use all the time. Fuck ass. He says, you're such a fuck ass. And she's like, you should go suck a fuck. How do you suck a fuck? Fuck ass. I was like, oh, wait, that's been the lexicon timeless. Way longer.
We love fuck ass.
Love.
Timeless.
Oh my God. There's another thing in the movie that wasn't in the script. That may be a comedic moment that I died for, where it's Donnie. He first meets his friend. We meet his friends at the bus stop, and he's sitting there, and they give him a cigarette, and they're like smoking, and his friend goes, "This is some good shit," and Donnie goes, "It's a fucking cigarette."
It's perfect.
Like,
and also,
he's like, shut the fuck up. Like, stop. Like, it's a cigarette. Like, stop making more of this as it is.
That's what I mean. He's infinitely cooler than all of his friends, but he doesn't get that he is.
Yeah, he's way beyond his years and he's smarter than everyone. And that's,
but the fact that we go from that to Tears for Fears comes on, head over heels.
Yeah.
And Donnie jumps out of the school bus. And then we go into that.
That gorgeous montage.
That song choice.
It really, really worked.
I had to rewind it to write down the name because I was like, this is stunning.
It really is.
He literally says it's a fucking cigarette. And the next shot is the bus. And then the song comes on. Yeah, it's so iconic.
The style is great.
It's so good. It's so good. Okay, was it just me or was the family so fucking chill when Donnie comes home in the beginning after the fucking...
They're like, oh, there you are.
And I'm like, I get now, to be fair.
You can't find your son and his room's destroyed and there was an engine in there?
See, okay, this was fully how I felt.
But he does leave.
I was just going to say, the only thing I'll give them is they establish twice.
He does
with the sign on the fridge, where's Donnie? And then the mom going, where you go at night. They absolutely acknowledge that he's not here a lot. But even fucking still.
Yeah.
I was like, they're all like, oh, hey, Donnie. And I was like, what?
Oh, there you are. You're not dead. You weren't crushed by this plane engine.
I just was like shook by that. I was like, they're all
very
a little
casual.
Too chill. Also, I'm at the point in my notes where I said, sit next to the boy you think is cutest, in all caps, is wild and insane. And then she has Joni get up, shook it.
It is so inappropriate.
Get up, Joni.
I was like, yeah, you should be fired. That's insane. If a teacher did that to me in high school, I'd be like, what the fuck? As a new student in school, you're going to put someone on blast like that? That's weird.
I don't remember if I shared this on here, and I might have. And so if I did, forgive me. But I had a teacher in like 3rd grade who asked us to tell her our favorite car.
Okay.
And I raised my hand and I said, a VW Beetle. And she went, that's stupid.
What?
And I still remember that as a almost 35-year-old woman. I was shook. I was like, literally went home and like, was like, and my mom was like, she what? Like my mom was like, what? She literally, I'll never forget it. It was like that illusion of like teacher, adult, lives in it. She literally looked at me like a freaking like teenager bitch and was like, that's stupid.
I need names.
But it weirdly reminded me of that where I was like, that is like the weirdest, like sit next to the boy you think is the cutest. Get up, Joni. Like, what?
Get up, Uggo. The pretty girl sitting down.
The only reason I liked it is because we got to see Donnie's cute little face go like, even though I was like, how do you know that she literally barely looks at him. She's like, and then like Drew Barrymore was supposed to know from that point.
It's weird.
It's weird.
It's weird and feels unethical. I had a teacher say something mean to me once too. I was really young. I was in like before elementary school. So I was in like no, before middle school. So I was in like late elementary school, probably 5th grade. And I was with my friend, talking with my friend Anna White, and it was at the end of lunch. And we were all lined up waiting to go back to our classroom. And I have my 2 fingers up like in a peace sign, Script Babies. And I was like, the bunny's hopping down the trail. And then a hunter comes by and chops off its ear. And I chopped off the index finger, leaving me inadvertently, not meaning to flip off Anna White. I wasn't even thinking about that. The bunny chopped off its ear. And then this other teacher, she wasn't my teacher. She was this other teacher. I think she was like just an administrator. She comes over and she like grabs me by the shoulder. And she's like, that is like, I forgot exactly how she started it, but this is what I remember her saying to me. Everyone thinks that you're so nice and so smiley, but really, this is what you are underneath. You're just a mean boy. And in our lunchroom had like a elevated stage at the end because it could also be used as an auditorium, and they had a table on top of the stage where the bad kids would go sit. So it was like a bit like public shaming. If you were bad, you had to go sit up there and eat alone. She put me up there and said, "Wait here," and went and got the principal.
I don't even know where to begin.
I went home. I was baffled. I went home, told my mom. My mom was like, "Absolutely not."
Get it, Terry.
Then another day at school, we were sitting doing like, it was like the middle of the day. We were doing some sort of assembly. And I see, back in that cafeteria, it was assembly. I see my mom. I see the doors open. My mom marching in with that teacher behind her. And they go, "Colin, get up. Come on." They take me outside. The teacher apologizes to me in the hallway. And my mom goes, "We're going home." And so I got to go home early. I was always like, yeah.
I am quite literally even more in love with your mother now.
Terry Moretz does not fucking play.
Terry Moretz does not fucking
play. She doesn't fucking play, bitch.
Oh, I mean, the thought of, I literally was like looking at reviews for like a preschool yesterday. And there was one where they were like, this one teacher is so rude. Like, there are kids who have literally said like, "Oh, she doesn't like me." And I had this thought of where I was like, we're talking about preschool, where you're like,
why are you going to get into this?
Why would you get into that?
I don't know. Some teachers are weird. Very odd.
I've had some incredible teachers and I've had some wackadoos.
Taking your anger issues out on a child.
Absolute wackadoos, as they say on Bluey.
Page 19, I said, "I love how Frank always gets introduced in such creepy ways." It says, "Interior family room night. Donnie lays on the couch, fast asleep. His eyes slowly open. There, standing in the corner of the room in the shadows, is Frank. Frank, wake up, Donnie." Love that, standing in the corner, because I could just I could just see it in my mind's eye so clearly.
But
he's such a creep.
Frank is a creep.
Page 23, I said, the character entrance for Seth and Ricky are really well done. It tells us everything about them and what we can expect from their characters. Great example of how to show, not tell. Now, granted, this does completely change. We don't see them arriving in this way. We meet these 2 characters in the hallway during the gorgeous, fabulous montage that we have gushed about.
Doing coke.
Doing cocaine. Crazy. And then like a teacher sees them and is just like, "Oh, okay."
The principal sees them and goes, whatever.
But that's also, I thought that was an interesting choice too, because it kind of shows this apathy that the adults have towards children, how they don't really take the struggles of these kids seriously, down to substance abuse.
And Drew Barrymore's character literally says, "We're losing them to apathy." She literally, and which is an absolute, for being a little bit of a weirdo, she nails it on that line.
Absolutely. So it says, this is page 23, it says, an 82 Chevy Camaro pulls up into the park. Everyone looks over. Ronald, shit. Everyone turns and looks as Seth Delvin and Ricky Danforth, 8th grade, age 18, which tells you everything. I'm sorry, they've been held back like 4 years of school. Okay. 8th grade, age 18, sit in the parked car. Ricky removes a vial of cocaine from his pocket and takes a snort. He then hands the vial to Seth, who taps a little out onto the switchblade, snorting it back. As they both get out of the Camaro, we see that both are 6-foot-tall mutants with bad facial hair. I love that. Like, the cocaine already there, putting on a switchblade to snort it off tells you everything. Like, these are dangerous little edgelords. I just thought that's like it's a great example of how to, like I said, show and not tell. And then like the addition that they have bad facial hair, that then you set up this scary image of them, but then you undercut it all and show that they're just dorky, stupid fucking teens trying to act hard by saying they have bad facial hair. I just thought that was such
really
a great,
smart.
a great sequence of exposition to come out.
Totally agreed.
Really fun. Page 24, I said great line of action. Seth pulls out his switchblade and holds it inches above Donnie's face. His 80 IQ grin at full capacity.
I was just going to say, please read the grin description because it's so good.
His 80 IQ grin. And that's like kind of a runner that they say a couple times. Fun.
But
my next ones are on 34, 83, and 92.
I literally think I might be. I said, well, one little thing I caught that was an error was that on page 25, it says, Donnie and Gretchen walk along the edge of the grass embankment by the water. But by the end of the scene, it says Gretchen gets up and begins to walk up the hill. Like the action doesn't totally make sense there.
Yeah, it feels like there's a few different times that there's like a few typos and there's different things where you can see like that they edited things. There's even a character name that's different. There's someone called Wuss. Sharita at one point, like you come out there and they call her Wuss. But like, yeah, you could tell that there was edits made that they didn't care to go back and clean up.
Pause. Do you have any theory on Sharita?
I don't, but she again feels symbolic of like innocence, just like Gretchen does. They both kind of represent innocence and how being too innocent as a teenager can also lead you to being shunned by society. That's how I was.
When she drops her book and it says Donnie Darko and she's like, shut up, and she leaves, and then he takes her little earmuffs. But then like I loved the choice that he like wears the earmuffs. It's like weird and cute and sweet and weird, but I loved it.
What do you think about them taking out the reason why he says everything's going to be okay though? Because in the script, the teacher says it to him. Drew Barrymore's character says,
she says it in the movie too.
Does she?
She does.
Oh, before she walks out? Mm-hmm. Oh, I missed that. Okay, never mind. I thought they took it out and I was like, that's a wild thing to take out. I was wrong.
No, I'm like 99% positive she says it. He just says it less in the movie. He says it like a parakeet in the script. He's like, everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. And like to the point where I was like, oh, I'm done hearing that. But in the movie, I feel like he says it like twice maybe.
He says it a few different times to the people.
Yeah. I don't know why in the script it felt like
it's his through line. No, it was over and over and over because it's like him coming to terms with like it's like almost in that moment is when he first gets the inkling that like of what he might have to do ultimately, and that he might have to sacrifice himself, and that's kind of his purpose in the world is to come to terms with the fact that he's doomed. Yeah, and that in order to circumvent his doom, he's going to have to be okay with causing the doom for tons of other people by his own hand and inadvertently. Which is a mind fuck. My next one's on page 34, and it says, I love how the story is becoming more and more magically disturbing as it progresses. Ooh. It says, interior, upstairs bathroom, night. Looking nauseous, Donnie opens the medicine cabinet and retrieves his pills. He takes 4 of them. Donnie takes a drink of water, closing his eyes. He puts the pills back and closes the cabinet. In the mirror's reflection is Frank. Donnie jumps. Frank. You got away with it. Don't worry. Donnie reaches his hand out towards Frank and it presses against an invisible wall as if he were pressing his hand against glass. Donnie, how can you do that? Frank, I can do anything I want, and so can you. Donnie stares closely at Frank. He then removes his hands and moves back away from him. So like, I like how like as it progresses, the shit happening with Donnie gets more and more magically mystical, weird. Like the like invisible wall, like that was that like imagery, particularly when he has the butcher knife and he's stabbing the invisible wall. Yep, really stuck with me. That's always the imagery that stuck with me the most as a kid.
Yeah. But you know what's funny is when you were reading that, I was just thinking how manipulative Frank sounds now. Yeah, like in the movie when it's happening, and in the like, you're still kind of entertaining like. Maybe this is like he really is trying to say, you know what I mean? Like you're at least entertaining that. Whereas like when you read it like that out of context, based on what we were saying, I'm like, you could also convince yourself that it is this like this spirit of this person that's being like, I can do anything and so can you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like all these like these planting these seeds. But then I also just had the thought too, because one of my favorite scenes in the movie is his last therapy session. I just thought it was like a really like, again, I just feel like whenever I see a really good scene, I always picture people really butchering it in an acting class, which is just, again, when you log enough hours in one, you're just...
an acting class read is an acting class read.
And And to be fair, I've seen some great takes, but I'm just saying a lot of times you'll watch like an iconic scene in an acting class and you're like, and that is why we let those actors do that. Not here. Now we can work towards it. But anyway, point being, I felt really impressed. Like the way he says, hungry hippos.
Oh yeah. I
love that he spoke like a
childlike.
child almost the whole time. But the range of emotions he goes through in that scene, and then all of a sudden he does that little smile and stuff. Like it's very fucking impressive.
From a young age, he was a great actor.
I mean,
some people just fucking have it.
Some people he has it. I mean, he has it in droves. Also, the other thing I kept thinking throughout this entire movie was like, I would have been so like infatuated with him if I went to school with him, and I would have literally been like,
yeah,
dear God, like, oh my God, he's so fucking cute and weird, and I literally just kept thinking like, oh my God, the way like in his the way he holds like his mouth and his like, oh my God. But that scene, his final hypnosis scene and the final whatever, it's so well acted and it's all these different things, but it feels like it's when he says, it's the first time he says, I owe him, like he saved my life, like whatever, like you do, because we don't get that in the movie like we do in the script. So he's acknowledging I have to do these things. Like I owe him.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then he also says they're gonna find out in a couple days, like that I did these things. Like he talked because he says I did the water, all that stuff. That also felt like, again, subconscious, not conscious, but his subconscious, that like some part of him had to know he was doing things he wouldn't actually end up having to be responsible for because he wasn't going to be alive.
Yeah.
Because it felt like Donnie was the type that like maybe wouldn't do these things if he would have had to live with the punishment, all of it. Maybe because I know he technically burned that one house in the beginning, even though they kind of are back and forth about like what it was actually the point of it. But
well, because he's kind of like, they kind of breadcrumb out that he's this kind of protector, especially the way he handles Sharita and the other kids being mean to her.
Yeah.
He's always like, leave her alone.
Yeah.
And like kind of standing up for the underdog in certain ways.
Totally.
Not overtly.
No, not
but
overtly.
Like it's small, but like.
But truthfully, in a way that feels maybe slightly more realistic for like a teenage boy who's not like a lover boy. Do you know what I'm saying? Like there's those boys who are just like sweetseekins, but I do feel like a lot of boys are like him, which is like, I don't want to be caught being like overly sweet, but I also, my consciousness is kicking in and I don't like that they're being mean for no reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally. Page 83, I said iconic line of dialogue alert. And this is at the end of a larger piece of dialogue. But it's Mrs. Farmer when she says, sometimes I doubt your commitment to sparkle motion.
And the fact that she is in the film, like mid-sob.
Sometimes I doubt your commitment to sparkle motion.
She's so good.
Yes, she's in so many random other things that she's such a great character actor.
Because that line is funny on the page, but her performance, her being so visibly destroyed and distraught, because it added the layer of going like, she made her whole, like, she just wants to fuck this guy, but she's made it about, no, like, he's saving the children, but really you're like, no, bitch, you're going home and you're thinking about this man.
Yeah.
That when it is found out that he's got, like, child pornography, like, all this stuff, she can't even consider, which also I was like, that is absolutely
massive parallel to today's society.
Literally all I could think
of our society.
But that idea of going
they're trying to smear an innocent man. He couldn't have done this.
That's her immediate thought. But
then she sees them smearing an innocent child, this boy who's troubled and going through shit, and she's all too happy to make him the villain. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Ew alert.
Ew alert.
Ew alert. Mrs. Farmer.
But even her face because the other thing I fucking love about Donnie is that like he'll have he's like awkward and like internal, but then he has these moments of like confidence in truth telling where he just like serves up and you're like, yeah, situationally not the best time to do it. But like the way he like pushes back on the exercise of like fear or love. And he's like, no, this is ridiculous. That you see her little face. And when she's like, you will get a 0 for the, because she's like, I'm out of it. Like I'm out of answers. And like the way she just like, again, the genius of her performance. It was like on the page, it's funny, but like seeing her little face, she's like in her head, she's just like, I'm fucking smack you.
I love that moment. He's like, you're going to boil down the entire spectrum of human emotions to this binary. Like, fuck you, fuck off, shove it up your ass. I love it.
There's also a whole like runner in the script that is not in the movie, and the movie benefits from it, with the bunnies and the book and how Gretchen gets so mad at him because he's that was a plot that was not fucking needed.
Yeah, the bunny symbolism
of the book where they're like,
with Watership Down, and all that. I've never read that book, but
I haven't either. But
I know it's intense, and it's intense commentary.
Yeah, but apparently, like what does he say that pisses her off? He just says that like
he says that human life is more important than a rabbit life. And that why should we care that these rabbits are dying when things die all the time? And if I'm given the choice between saving a human and saving a rabbit, I'm going to save the human every time. And that upsets Gretchen because she's like, okay, you're just being, she's like, you're missing the, it's not fully. She's upset at him because he's not being as compassionate or understanding the story. And that to her shows that he's this different person than he actually is. Which they take that completely out for the movie.
It absolutely benefits.
It works because like it does feel awkward.
And we don't have time for her to be like really upset with him. Like there's like multiple scenes where she ignores him. It's like,
yeah, because if we're going to really get into the like meaning of Watership Down and like why she's upset with that and like what the, moral ramifications of this are, it's like we're going to have to explore that, but we just don't have the time. No. And it just, again, it's another one of those things that feels a bit piecemeal. Like, totally. Oh, I'll add this in there, but we're not going to use it. Things that you can only do in that this script would not get made today. If I wrote this script and I submitted it, people would be like, it doesn't make sense. I'm not making this. They just wouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, the feedback I've gotten on scripts, I'm like, okay, you missed the point. I got some feedback on my Halloween script from a different part, not that, but from a different production company. And they were like, once we got in there, it felt a bit repetitive. I was like, yeah, it's a task-based adventure movie where a problem arises, you solve the problem, it opens up a new issue to go to. So you go
it's a children's
and do
film
that
also.
task. Have you ever seen any movie like that? Have you seen National Treasure? Have you seen The Goonies? Have you seen Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
But also the way
it's intrinsically repetitive, quote unquote, but that's just the structure of the story.
Children needs repetition in order to understand.
But just like why
lessons and like
the obstacles and tasks that you achieve.
Oh boy.
I guess if you want to call that repetitive, sure, but you just whatever.
It's not repetitive.
It's not the home that's meant for.
No, exactly. Bye.
Because clearly you don't understand.
Don't let the door hit you.
Yeah, it's just funny. Well, people, anyway, I'm like, girl, if you can't understand a kids movie, then
woof.
Like, how would they ever read this script and see anything about it?
Right. Wait, pause. The little boy yelling in the tape. I'm not afraid anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, I literally started laughing out loud.
I'm not afraid anymore.
It's comedic genius.
It is. It was funny.
Oh my God. That like, I thought it was fine for my 15-year-old to be wetting
also
the bed.
Another cameo that I wrote down where I was like, oh, lol, the girl who gets up there and says, my sister eats too much. I don't want her to. That's Ashley Tisdale.
You're right.
It's the Tiz comes around. The Tiz has been working her little ass off since a child. My last two notes are on page 92 and 103. Okay. On 92, I've heard the cellar door thing before about it being the most beautiful thing,
which I couldn't disagree.
So
more.
they took out the full explanation that Mrs. Pomeroy says about it, but I thought it was interesting. So this is what Miss Pomeroy says on page 92. She says, in our lives, we will search for that cellar door, that object of perfection that isn't supposed to exist, but deep down in our hearts, we know that it does. It has to exist because sometimes it's the only thing that keeps us going. And I said, ask Carly what her cellar door is. And then I realized, why would I ask that? Because it's a huge question that people need to think about. And I don't want to put someone on the spot to say it. But I was trying to think what my cellar door would be, the thing that I find beautiful that shouldn't be beautiful, but that like keeps me wondering and guessing and going forward, is in so many ways the paranormal and the unexplainable, because it indicates to me that everything's possible and anything can be. And I find it beautiful because it's so intriguing, and I want to delve more into that, because I'm like, if that is real, my own personal experience is if that can happen, then anything can happen. And how deep does the rabbit hole go? And I find that beautiful and intriguing, and that makes me want to keep living.
I found my answer as you were speaking, and it's so us because it's so similar and yet different. My thing, and I have had an obsession with this on and off since I was a child, and it's never been more intriguing to me, is energy, is literally like energy work and understanding.
Yes.
Like, but that's my version, because that means
Love.
anything is, because we live so much in like the 3D, in like the physical body and the whatever, that learning these like energetic laws of the universe and like understanding how much has to be going on that we can't see. And finding a way to synthesize that
I have chills.
is to me is one of the things that keeps me going, because I find it endlessly interesting, and the way that then intertwines with the people in your life.
Yeah.
And like even us, like that idea where it's like some people, you're like, no, there's something here that is so, I can't put words on it, that and never knowing where or how that comes about, and just like the depth of connection, and how so often the reason I write is because I'm always trying to put into words the things that are impossible. Like I think about how whenever I want to write something about my son, I always am like, feel the most robbed of words, because I'm like, I don't know how to put this into words. And yet I want to spend the rest of my life trying to, knowing I'm always going to fall short. So it's like, it's all of that. You
won't fall short, because at some point you're going to make your About Time, and it's going to be stunning, and I'm going to bawl my fucking eyes out over it.
But I think that, mine's similar to yours in that it's like the unseen. Yeah. It's just a slightly different version of that.
Love.
Yeah. But what you just made me like the cellar door, because I liked that in the script, but in the movie she's just like cellar door.
Yeah, Script Babies, if you don't know what I'm talking about, there's
absolute throwaway in the movie.
There's this famous linguistical thing that out of all the word combinations in English, that cellar door is the most beautiful. And I've seen this explored like before. Like I heard someone talking about it on TikTok. I've like read about it like over the years. This is something that's actually come up into my like orbit a few times. Maybe I should research it more. But yeah, that's how it is. And then like that's what it is. And that's her explanation goes on to give it more context about like.
And her explanation in the script is interesting, but in the movie it feels more like a throwaway.
Well, because they take away the explanation of it, and it's just kind of like, okay, and all it's doing is indicating the cellar door that he's going to go in at.
And then you hear like cellar door and the portal, and it's like it just feels it feels
too amorphous to really have meaning, and it's another one of those things where it's like it's an idea of something but without much behind it.
And also I just kept coming up against it because I kept being like, I couldn't disagree more. I don't think cellar door,
I do disagree I don't think it's the most beautiful combination
at all.
Because literally when I was reading, I was going in my head like cellar door, and then I literally was like trying to find the beauty of it. I was like,
can't do it.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it in a British accent. Cellar door.
Which better?
Cellar door.
Better.
Cellar door.
Yeah, that's way better, but still.
Cellar door. I don't know.
Cellar door.
My last note, page 103, and I did literally gasp because I didn't remember the ending. I literally gasped when Donnie raised the gun and shot Frank.
Yeah.
I did not expect that. And I was like, oh yeah. No coming back.
Yep.
This is the turning point.
This is the turning point. And he knows it.
And that was a good shock. It was fun.
I agree.
I liked.
I am out of script notes. The last few notes I have from the movie, that the last scene with the therapist, I believe it is, before he does the hypnosis, they're talking about God, because they do indulge it in the film, but they indulge it even more in the script. They talk a lot about his relationship to God. And he's like, does this mean I'm an atheist? And she's like, no, you're more like agnostic, like whatever. And then at one point the therapist asks him, the search for God is absurd. And he says, it is if everyone dies alone. And I thought that was an infinitely better take in the film. That's in the film. The script is like this chunky paragraphs where he's going on and on and on.
About the dog dying and everything.
Yeah. And then it's like, and then it just to me was so much more impactful that his response would be if everyone dies alone. Because that's when he brings up what Grandma Death said. Like it's a really good coming together moment in the movie that does not exist in the script in the same way. Like they really, again, condense and synthesize a lot of things in the script into that moment. That I really thought, like, just the way he delivered it too. It was just
know what? sorry, finish your thought.
No, just because it was just another example of less is more so often that I think our desire with dialogue, again, when this goes into what I was saying about exposition, whatever, sometimes you say more, sometimes you say the on the nose thing, but sometimes less is more in storytelling. Like sometimes that one line I've said this a million times, the paragraph rarely hits people. Sometimes it does, but the monologue rarely hits people the way that the one-liner does. Yeah. I did not feel much when I was reading all this dialogue in the script, but hearing him say, if everyone dies alone, like I was like, oh, yep, poignant. Got it.
Yeah, for sure. And then he then goes to prove that he's not going to die alone. He takes Gretchen's body with him to drive off the cliff. So I thought, it's a fun little full circle moment there.
Why do you think Grandma Death said that?
About the everyone dies alone? I don't know.
That felt random.
I don't know.
I wish it would have been something else.
There's so many things in this film that I think can be dissected. I'm sure have been. I'm sure there's academics who have gone on about this. I don't care enough to.
I guess ultimately he does die alone in the final.
That's what makes me sad is that I want to care about this film more than I do. I don't.
Fair.
I don't.
Fair.
That's all she wrote for me.
Do I have anything? I feel like that might. Yeah, that's it for me. Pretty much, we pretty much covered all of it.
Yeah.
Do you have any daddy do's?
I have no daddy do's, no daddy don'ts. My one daddy do was to weave in exposition in natural ways into your dialogue, but I only had 2 examples of it, so I took it out because I was like, I don't want to give someone a daddy do thing that they can read through the script and see multiple examples of that when there's only really 2 that stuck out to me. And that's also like a duh kind of daddy do that I've said before with better examples. So I took it out and I don't have any daddy don'ts.
To be fair, mine are not new. They're a little bit redundant too. My only daddy do is just be as clear as possible in your action and exposition when biting off big ass topics like time travel and space-time continuum. Again, like his descriptions of like the portals coming out of their bodies and like all these things like were really spot on. Yeah, they were really clear. Very specific. And the
way he explained the liquid spear things coming out of their chest and how he said it extrudes from their chest. I was like, what? That's the perfect word. It does. It extrudes.
He really has a gift for finding that that one right word that makes you go, oh, got it. Yes. You know what I mean? And
that's a good daddy do right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, really evocative words.
And I don't know about you, but I have moments in a script, I always have scenes that I call my sticky scenes. I think I've told you about this before, where it's like they're the scene that I just keep coming back to and like it's not quite there, it's not quite there. But I also will have sticky descriptors where there's like probably 5 to 10 every script where like I'll replace it over and over and over again because nothing feels quite right. He really is an argument for keep going until you find the word that feels right because so often I was so moved by one word.
It makes a big difference.
It really does. It's so thoughtful. It makes you feel taken care of too. And with a movie like this where the tone is a little bit strange, it does kind of help you feel like that weird off-kilter feeling.
Yeah, agreed.
My daddy don'ts are just don't have too many side plots when a movie with something, well, first off, ever, but specifically with a movie that has this much going on. The film trimmed out a lot of unnecessary additions that the script entertained with smaller characters that just didn't add to the film, really. It kind of took away from it. And lastly, don't over-explain or over-talk. Less is more with dialogue so much of the time. I'm not suggesting that hardly any dialogue is preferable, but this movie just had way too much in the script, and the movie really was more impactful for having less.
100%.
So that is Donnie Darko.
I think is Donnie Darko our last Spookalini film for this season?
Might be. Spookalicious.
I don't know where she's gonna land.
I don't either. We'll yeah, we're doing our best. We love a theme, but we also really love straying from our theme, and we're honoring that. It's like we're really enjoying taking a season and being inspired by it, but then we also just have these really strong pulls towards films that we've decided we have our own little orbs that we follow.
Yes.
And so we're serving up some fun little scary stuff or thriller adjacent, whatever.
Yeah.
I guess, what would you even genre this film?
Thriller.
Sci-fi?
It's sci-fi thriller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's suspenseful.
Fair enough. Yeah.
It's mysterious.
Yeah.
I think thriller works.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, our next films or whenever you're listening to this are not that. So.
They're not. I'm excited.
But we do have another. Well, I'm just gonna say next season we have a light theme as well.
Oh, I'm very excited. For
very excited.
Season 4 is so fun.
It's already incredible.
I actually can't wait.
I love you.
I love you. Bye. Bye.